Welcome to EIPIP Meeting 78. I have shared agenda in chat. It's issue number 224 on EIPIP GitHub repository. We have few open issues and PRs to be discussed today, and there are a couple of items from the earlier meetings. Discussion continued. We'll get some update on EIPW bot issues. One of the caterers are working on it, and we'll go ahead with EIPS Insight for the month of March and April, followed by EIP Editing Office hour. So going ahead with the agenda. The first item listed here is an update that is for EIP1. Pull request number is 6824. It is to update EIP1 to include wording about the finalizing pull request. I suppose this is created by Victor. Victor, if you have something to share about it, and then probably we'll see what other editors think about merging of this proposal.
Sorry, can you put in the link?
Sure. Just give me a second. It's a pull request number 6824. So this is the first item on the agenda, pull request number 6824, to include some wording about finalizing.
Yeah, the background is that in our previous discussion on EIPIP meetings, that people agree generally you should not move a EIP into final status with other changes. Basically, the last PR pull request to move a status to change an EIP status should only touch the status without other changes. And this is a reflection of our of the meeting's decision. It's already merged. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, looks like it has been merged. It received approvals from other authors. So thank you for providing the background here.
Cool, thank you.
All right, the next one is pull request number 6813. That is a CI change for bump rake file depths. I see a lot of comments here, and there are some changes made by the proposer. Full decent. Wonder what other editors think about merging for this proposal.
I think it just needs to be tested. It looks like one of the builds is failing, so one of the CI checks. So.
Okay, and I think Panda left a comment over there, right? So, yeah. All right, let's move ahead with the next one. This is created by Panda Peep, and it is to remove EIP preamble entry. I think I can see a lot of comments. There are some people in favor of it and some are not. I don't see Panda on call today. If anyone would like to maybe say why they are in favor or not about this particular PR. 6790.
I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what I said on the PR. I don't really see much point in removing it. Like it really isn't affecting anything. It might make the CI bot slightly more complicated, but it's a long-standing part of the EIP process, and I think we should just retain it.
I support that we don't remove it. I share even stronger that I think in the content of the EIP, we should have a number, just like even if you might have title somewhere, you should also have the title inside of the inside of the content. And the EIP number is an important piece of that information and should be duplicated and double checked.
So
I
I'm
feel like-
missing the argument on removing it. So is it just because the EIP number is in the title or in the file name that he wants to remove it?
It's in the
Yeah.
file name, so
So
it's kind of duplicated in those two places.
well, it's a little bit more than just that, right? Like we're working on making the EIP number assigning bot, and it's 1% easier if you only have to change it in one place instead of two places. So I think that's where this is coming from. But it really doesn't matter too much technically which way we go.
It creates some overhead though, right? Because it's not exactly backwards compatible.
Yeah, we'd have to go through and change old EIPs and stuff. So it's a little annoying there.
Yeah, I mean, let's just close it. There's not really a strong argument for it.
Very well. So I think one of the editors may be able to close it. It looks like most of them are not in favor. So we don't have a clear consensus on that. Moving ahead, the next one is website remove dependency on EIP's preamble. It is number 6799, and it's by PandaPip again. Looks like it's waiting for some review.
Yeah, this is only necessary if we remove the EIP preamble entry, and if we're not removing it, we don't need this change either.
Right. Yeah, that's why I had it like followed by the EIP preamble thing. So we don't need this either, right?
As far as I know, no.
Okay. Okay, if any of the editors may close these two, number 6790 and 6799. Next one is update code spell project action, code spell digest. I'm not sure if it is created by a human or a bot, so I just thought of bringing it to this meeting. Wonder what people think about it. The number is 6805.
Yeah, these are made by a bot. This is the mend renovate thing that PandaPip wanted to do, and it makes useful pull requests. I just haven't gotten around to reviewing any of them yet.
Okay, then I'll like let it live. Maybe when other editors also get chance to take a look, and Sam, if you can, because you are closely looking into bots. So yeah, that would be good to have. And that concludes our first like new discussion items or pull request. The next one is a discussion continued from the past meeting. Someone requested to have the first two sub items for this particular section. The pull request number is 62C69, and it is about full EVM equivalence in Ethereum. So it looks like it was discussed earlier. I think when we had Greg on the call as well, and we didn't have any clear consensus on it. So after 3-4 meetings, the proposer has requested to be discussed again to see if there is any new stand by the EIP editors and if we can probably move this forward.
Do we have consensus that execution spec should be linkable?
Yep.
I think we can let the proposer just split it out and then put this the execution first, and then yellow paper. I think Sam and Matt is against, and then Greg and I were support. So we can discuss that further. We want to just minimize the block on whoever proposed the link. And
Oh, it's
the
not the
fact
links.
that
It's not the links that are blocking this.
okay.
Well, I mean, they are, but if they remove the links, I still wouldn't let them merge this. Because you can't make an EIP enforce things on other EIPs. So I don't see the point in having an EIP that just makes a definition without some sort of technical like substance or proposal, right? So I don't think the content of this EIP is suitable for this repository.
Oh, are you talking about this content is, oh, you mean, yeah, the content of this EIP is not relevant to actually being an EIP, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, yeah, of
if you want to
course.
if you want to define what
Agreed.
full EVN equivalence is for your proposal, go for it. But making one proposal to define it for everybody is not something I think we should do.
Until I mean until when there's use cases where multiple independent EIP needs a definition, and that definition is non-trivial. So maybe just too early, or
It,
doesn't make
I'm,
sense at all.
I'm looking through it. It says full EVM equivalence, and it's just definition of it. It seems like to me like a marketing term could be done in a blog. It doesn't really. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. We should close. In that case, we should close it.
Okay. So yeah, the last comment was from the editor saying that let's discuss this in EIPIP meeting, and from today's meeting, probably we can add a comment that editors are in favor of closing this. Maybe not the best place to add it in EIP repository. The next one here is pull request number 6306. It is by the same author, a same proposer, and it looks like we have two comments, one in strong favor and one strongly thinks that it should not be added to EIP 1. Victor and Matt, if you would like to share your thoughts and arguments for and against.
Oh, this is actually the one that I was confused with. So I think the proposal was to add to allow link permitted links, and then one is to execution spec, which we all agree, and then the yellow paper, which we disagree. And so I think we can let the proposer submit the merge for the spec first, and then we can wait for consensus for yellow paper.
What do you mean wait for consensus? Because I feel like we run into this problem a lot where there are opinions and then we just leave it open for 6 months. And I'm not going to change my opinion on this because I really don't think the yellow paper makes sense to link to. It's a deprecated resource and people should start linking to the execution specs.
Can you make a argument that I know that is lack of updates, just like execution is currently being the canonical one to update, and then we kind of socially agree that execution is up to date, but how can you prevent 6 months or a year from now the execution spec is also continue to be maintained? And then like I believe that people or the community maintained yellow paper back then when they updated with Berlin updates, they didn't think that it will cease to be maintained, right? So the fact that you think that it is currently lack of maintained, I don't know if that is consensus. I'm actually proposing that, and Greg and I were proposing that we should actually look into it and have people contribute to put yellow paper back to up to date. So that's why I feel that using the arguments that yellow paper is no longer maintained as a way to block links is for 1 week, and for 2, it doesn't also apply to execution. And even longer, I don't think deprecated documents is one thing, is a reason to stop linking to them. Like for us, we believe that giving people historical context is also sometimes useful, and so
But not in the
putting too
repository.
much. What?
We don't really give historical context in the EIP repository that much. That's not really the point of the EIP. The point of the EIP is to specify and to give rationale for the decisions. So
Where
There's
the
not-
rationales usually needs to carry historical decisions, historical context, right? Otherwise, how do you make
Wait.
rationale?
our whole
So,
point of EIPs is to not link to a whole bunch of stuff. And if we were to be providing a lot of historical context, then we would be having to provide a lot of links to, oh, there was a discussion here on Twitter. Then at this interop, we had, this decision, and originally it was like that. Like, this isn't a assimilation of a whole bunch of information about how we got to this certain point. It's trying to concisely define the spec and then trying to concisely define why things were chosen and summarizing a bunch of conversations. But that to me is like not that big of a point. The point is that the yellow paper isn't updated past the merge. There's not really people working on it. If that changes, then we can reopen the discussion and think about it some more. But right now we have 3 full-time people working on the execution spec. It works post-merge. It works for Shanghai. We have people maintaining it for the foreseeable future. If it gets to the point where it's not maintained, then we can have a discussion. Okay, this thing is not maintained anymore. Is this something that we need to keep supporting links for? But that's just not where we are today.
so again, I understand where you're coming from. But I feel, and I believe Greg feel very strongly that we should allow authors to link. And the fact that we don't
If you
allow
can
it
get
to
the
link,
yellow paper to support Shanghai,
I
then I
don't
think we
think
can
you
have a
should.
conversation.
I
But it
don't
doesn't
think
support
yellow
Shanghai.
paper. I don't think yellow paper needs to yellow paper needs to be updated in order to be qualified to be linked. That's the point. Like, I'm not arguing with you that yellow paper is out of date. That is sad fact. We agree that. But the fact that we don't allow linking to yellow paper, and then the fact that we are not allowing linking to other live clients live clients implementations, I believe that is making it very hard for authors to
That's a
link
separate
and to
debate.
make their arguments. Yeah.
That's separate from the
it-
yellow paper.
No. So I'm saying that we should have very, very strong reason to restrict link unless there is a need, rather than we should by default link permit link without unless we have a strong reason. And
Why are
from what
people
I
linking
heard
to
is,
the yellow paper? Like, what good does it do to link to a resource that doesn't accurately reflect the current state of Ethereum?
so what's the point of linking to an EIP? Like, what's the point of is to link to ERC20 to ERC 721?
Because these are
there's
finalized standards that
up-to-dates?
represent the state of the art.
It doesn't represent the state of art. ERC
It does.
20,
These things are finalized standards that are accepted. You can't link to something and become final if it also is not final.
that is not how we define linked to begin with.
It is.
We are using the proposal, EIP proposal, to let people make arguments, make technical arguments. And even like to begin with, there is an RFC that people were following where use must and should. And then even that RFC is being updated. That was deprecated, and then we link to it without problem. So we're just empowering ourselves too much to restrict link. And then again, I know that I'm not going to convince you, and then you're not going to convince me either. And I think that we can put aside the
So then
yellow
we should
paper
close
ahead.
this issue, because if
No.
we're just gonna sit here and like argue about it every single meeting, this is not useful. Like, proposals to change the Ethereum repository, the EIP repository, should generally be accepted unanimously. And if they're not, then we just need to move on and start working on the next problems.
I'm agreeing that we should allow execution spec to be linked, and that was what I proposed. And we know that what yellow paper is is not being in consensus yet. So that's what I proposed. We split it out, and then we let the execution be permitted to go in. And for the yellow paper, we can just wait another 6 months or a year, and then we come back to discuss. How's that?
That's fine with me. But I think that something
Okay.
needs to material change to discuss again. Like, we have discussed this several times now, and nothing has material changed on the front. Until, like, I am not going to be okay with accepting the yellow paper until it supports the latest fork.
I reserve my opinion.
You reserve your opinion, but
and
I
then
don't want to talk about this next week or in 2 weeks.
Or like there's two other possibilities that either there's a material change or the sentiments in the group changes. How's that? So
My opinion on this is that is there an instance where we are actually severely impacted by not letting the reference to yellow paper come in the EIPs? I mean, if there is such an instance and we are really being impacted and there is a real impact, then it becomes something to discuss about, else the discussion is moot.
the impact is that author, when they are making EIP arguments, they sometimes need to cite the historical context. And then EIP, yellow paper has historically been a very good source of the execution layer.
I think this would be probably a good place to let this discussion settle down on. Maybe if people are more interested, can add more support on the pull request itself, because
Hold on. I think I have one question for Light Client. Light Client, do you think we should permit perm link to execution spec, or do you think that we should permit live link to execution link spec?
What is the differentiation?
Perm link is is GitHub's link that includes the commit, which links to a non-changeable specific snapshot of execution of a repository. Live link links to a relative place in a repository that may change. So do you think that we should allow perm link to execution spec, or we should allow live link to execution spec?
I mean, we
let's
can't
give
allow
up.
light link.
Okay, now if you're
5757
linking,
says that we
right,
have to link with the permalink.
right. So if you link to a perm link, it doesn't change. It's gonna be out of date. So by
But
your
we're
definition,
already shooting ourselves in the foot by accepting a resource that's not being updated. Like, why
that's
take
the
on this
point.
debt?
That's the point. You can't, like in the world of links, you can't assume the source is going to be up to date. You never will be. Like, yeah, that's why that's just like I'm just using this argument to show you that you cannot assume that. If
That's
you use
fine,
static
but
link,
why accept
it's gonna
something that is
be
already not up to date? Like, it's nothing that we have to assume. We already know that nobody is currently working on the yellow paper. I don't know if that's ever going to change. It probably isn't. It's going to be really hard to define the merge in the context of the yellow paper. And so why go ahead and accept this thing if the most it's going to be just become less valuable over time. If the execution spec stops being supported at some point, that's unfortunate.
it
But
stops
that's just
being
not how
supported.
things are.
By your definition, the perm link stops being changed. It stops evolving. So that's exactly the same place where, like, if you don't think execution spec as one thing, but as snapshots of each one of the individuals themselves, linking to each one of them is going to be out of date. No one is maintaining and changing that perm link because it cannot be changed.
There's no
so-
point to have multiple resources pointing to the same things. The execution spec already implements all the historical hard forks. The yellow paper is not being updated. We don't need to have two ways of linking to something depending on how you feel or like what resource you're used to. We should be forcing people down this one funnel that's supported right now. And if something changes in the future, we can address that issue. But this is just how things are stand right now.
I don't think you answered my question. How could link to the perm link maintain the up-to-date status?
I mean, it
You're
doesn't.
using the argument.
It doesn't, but someone is supposed to come and update it back with the current. I think that's how it should work.
Sorry, I don't hear that. I'm not sure if I follow you.
No, we can't link to a dynamic link because dynamic link can change and the content in the EIP can basically go very tangent to what now the dynamic links contains. But if the
Right.
dynamic, so if and the issue of permalink needs to be resolved by the matter of updating the EIP itself. So I guess permalink needs to be there, but the EIP updation also needs to happen if something material changes in the link.
Right. I'm not arguing with you that we should add live link. I'm just saying that the same reason that we disallow live link and the same reason that we disallow yellow paper is going to be the same link that we disallow permalink, because permalink don't change. It will be out of date. No
I
one
think
can change permalink.
Question really would be what
I'm
does
I'm
historic
arguing
the yellow
I'm
paper have?
arguing that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to say that I think what really matters is what context does yellow paper has that execution specs don't have and people can't refer to. I think if we can answer that question, then maybe we can make a logical decision about this.
I agree.
I
mean, don't forget the reason that we're having this debate is because the informational EIP for EVM equivalents that we just said we should close was asking for it. This is why we're trying to put the yellow paper in for something that we don't even want to support in the repo.
There's a lot of other EIPs that has tried to add link to yellow paper. Like the fact that this come from the context of adding an EVM full of that one, I don't think it really matters. There's historically a lot of other EIPs that is trying to link to yellow paper.
Then let them open a PR to add a link to the yellow paper using 5757.
Sorry, what was the number?
5757, the EIP that defines how to add links to the EIP1.
And then, sorry, I don't think I heard your last sentence.
I'm saying if people want it, then let's close this and wait for someone to come back and say, I have this EIP. It's really important that I have the link to the yellow paper. Right now, the person who said they want the link to the yellow paper wants to try to define something in an informational EIP that we don't think is a good fit for this repository. If at this later point, an author says it is critical for my EIP that I link to the yellow paper, we can have this debate again.
Okay, all right. If that is a possible new information, I would accept that to wait for this discussion. Like I can accept we put this discussion on hold until either yellow paper changes or a number of editors who feel that we should allow link to yellow paper changes, or there is an author who have strong reason in their own EIP that needs to allow this. They needs to allow this. How's that? Otherwise, we put this discussion on hold for another 12 months or so.
There could be another reason. There could be another reason when bot decides to make it stagnant. So I hope one of the conditions come earlier than bot, so we can probably bring it back to the agenda.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we should close these things and not just let them sit there, because then we get notifications when it's stagnant and we want to talk about it again. Like we've kind of reached this impasse where there isn't really a good way forward. And so we should close it. And if somebody comes and reopens the PR or decides to open a new PR that does this thing, we can have the discussion again.
Sounds good.
All right. Maybe for another issue that we just, another pull request that we just discussed, 6269, if someone can maybe close that, that would be nice. Same goes
I don't
for,
feel comfortable closing it because I'm the one who is very vocally against it. So if somebody else wants to take care of it, I'd appreciate it.
all right. Yeah, I
Which
mean,
one? I can try.
6269.
269. Okay.
That
Let
we
me check.
decided that it should not be a part of EIP repository. And followed by 6306, if we think that we can probably take up this discussion back to the meeting when we have an example for a
Oh.
proposal who really needs it.
For 6306, I split it in two. So there's one for the yellow paper and one for execution specs now. Yeah.
Okay, then, okay, fine. Then we need to add a comment there, maybe for the proposer to know about it. And this again will be either closed or will be just one part of it in the PR. All right. So we can probably move on to the next one. The next one is PR number 6650. And it talks about customizable editors. Sam, do you want to discuss 6834 right now?
I'm looking at it. Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is for so it'll only give editors, like it'll only tag editors for certain keywords or for the lack of certain keywords in proposals. I don't really feel strongly about this unless we have like a more rigorous categorization system. But yeah.
Okay, so we are still discussing 6650.
Yeah, I don't know if this is ready for an EIPIP discussion yet.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to provide background here. Like, you know, in the last meeting, we asked the proposer, like, what is the proposal? And he probably added a few more context to it, like what is being tried to be done here. Just wanted to let editors know so they can take a look and provide the feedback. There is no pull request for this proposal yet. Okay, and I see that PR 6834 is already there. Thank you, Sam, for creating that. That is to allow links to the yellow paper as a separate discussion. Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to add that in the summary for today's meeting. That concludes. Sorry, anyone wants to share something?
Yeah, I try to close 629 69. I don't have closing. I don't have closing rights. Anyone who has closing right, please close it. And then I already notes down our meeting notes to say that we will close it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Matt, maybe if you can give it a try because Sam wants to be reserved. He's like vocal about it and he just wants to reserve from this. So if you can give it a try sometimes today or later.
It worked. Yeah, Matt closed it.
Okay. I have to refresh my agenda so it can reflect it here as well. Oh yeah, it does. All right, the next one is EIPW bot issues. Jose, if you have any updates to share.
Hello. Yes, I think that I finally managed to get the code not panicking. I already sent a brief summary to you, Sam. So I'm gonna work in the test suite this weekend. So finally we'll get that done. I hope so.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool. If there is any other issue of high priority that you would like to take next, maybe you can check with Sam because he generally manages this bot repository.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, it is EIPS Insight. So I have added HackMD for the month of April as well. We have 4 new EIPs as draft, 2 promoted to review, and 2 EIPs in last call, with 3 EIPs getting into final status. Last call proposals are EIP 6220 with the end date on 18th April. And the other one is 6105 with the end date of 4th April, which has already passed. So the author is requested to create a new pull request. If there is no major feedback for spec changes, they can create a new pull request to move this proposal to the final status. The 3 final EIPs are EIP 4736, that is CLWP, Consensus Layer Withdrawal Protection. There are 2 ERCs, ERC 5006, Rental NFT User Extension, and ERC 5219, Contract Resource Request. All of them are added in the HackMD, added to the agenda. That's all on EIPS Insight. For EIP editing hour, we had our last meeting yesterday. There would be another meeting 2 weeks from yesterday. And I have added agenda to the new meeting. People may request any pull request. They have question about their particular proposal, and that will be answered by EIP editor Sam Wilson. Generally takes out this office hour to talk to authors. And the last item for today's discussion, or maybe information, is a action item from the earlier meeting. I have added link to the notes. I'm just taking a quick look. Okay. So the first one was related to 5682, no consensus. 6579 was approved. Obviously, it would have been merged. And the third one was about this Strawman proposal, discussion to be continued in the link provided there. So probably there is no action item specific on anyone. So yeah, that all concludes for the items listed here today. Anyone has anything to bring up, share, or want to discuss? I had one thing I wanted to mention here, like I mentioned it in the all-core dev meeting as well. I'm not sure if we have all the proposals for Sharpela upgrade in the last call. I saw only one proposal in last call, and one is already final because that is a meta and that is not going to be deployed. But there are, I think, 3 more proposals that needs to go in the last call. Now we do not have even 2 weeks, it's less than that, but I'm wondering, like, what would be the next step? Is it okay that someone from Cat Headers may create a pull request, or?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay, fine. Then I'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. That's all. Anyone has anything else to add for today? Cool. Then thank you all for joining us today. See you in 2 weeks on April 19th at 1400 UTC. Have
Thanks,
a good one,
Pooja.
everyone.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Pooja.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Bye.
Pooja. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.